Okay, there we go. Okay, so yesterday price was pushing up since morning, since the open of the day. Price pushed up, came back into this order block here. So again, I always say, as long as an order block is not broken, just know that it will actually be respected and price will continue on its merry way, right? So the only thing we are waiting for is a potential of an intraday reversal. So it actually ended up happening with a clean setup there. So today, again, unless it's a pullback which we're trading, or a retracement or intraday reversal, we cannot take any sales. And for now, the safest sales based on H4 will be below 2190. Those I feel like will be the safest sales based on the current market price which I'm looking at right now. So C3, we've got nothing. C5, unfortunately, it looks like it already continued with yesterday's pattern. So yesterday, we had 3 points of interest. We had the first one here. We had the second one here, where we had this order block, and we had put a trend line as well. And we had the third one here, waiting for a break and a potential retest. So you notice that setup number 2 happened. Price came, rejected this. So this is where we started selling, and they broke this level, came back, retested an order block, and they stayed below the 50 EMA. TDI had a nice shark fin initially for this move here. They had a nice shark fin. Then for these 50 EMA rejections, they had a baseline bounce, or rather price bouncing off the 50 static. Then after that, they broke. So this is the particular setup we were in. Then towards the close of the day, price came back into this zone, which was yesterday's lows, the previous day's lows. And they gave a flip zone, which is something which we had also spoken about. So I'm not sure if anybody managed to catch this one, because this was actually a clean trade. So they continued dropping since today's open, dropped. So right now, seeing that price has dropped a lot, the daily candle looks like it should be something like this. Maybe a tiny wick there, and it will be full bearish. So seeing that the daily candle is full bearish, selling here would be a high risk trade, because most likely price will retrace, maybe come into the 50, maybe come into yesterday's lows, which are our points of interest. So for now, I feel like the daily chart is looking like this. So let's quickly confirm. As you can see, yesterday we had also mentioned that if price breaks this gray zone here, it will potentially retest, and once it does that, we're going to see a run coming down to this liquidity here. So that is what's currently happening. So two things are, either the current candle might get there today, or it will potentially get there tomorrow. So our duty now is to look for any potential supply zones on H4, which we might use. So the first supply zone I see, I'm just going to extend these lines which I already have. So the first supply zone I have, you see this order block here, which is right on the gray zone, which was broken. That's my main point of interest right there. That order block there, that's my main point of interest. We can simply mark it as well like this. But I'm just going to unshade it so that price action can be a bit clear. So I can only sell this if they give a retracement. But if you notice from yesterday's drop, the retracements have been like sideways moves. A drop, a sideways move, a drop, a sideways move, drop, sideways move, drop. So we might get a sideways move and a drop, but I would love to see price actually retrace into this area for us to actually take a better sell. For now, I'll say that's my view. That's my main point of interest on C500. If we drop to H1, What other points of interest can we spot from H1? The ones I can see look like they were already retested. So the first one would be this one from yesterday's lows, which was tested right there. Then the next one will be this one, which was tested again. So let's see. Can price get as high as this area? Can price just get here? Can price just get here? Or can price just continue dropping? So let's not rule out that this could also happen. Price could also just like accelerate into that higher time frame zone which we have. So for us, in order to catch that trade now, let's see if M15 is going to allow us. Okay, nah, I wouldn't sell at current market price. If they drop from CMP, I would rather miss that trade. But I'll say the best points of interest for today, we've got this one based on H1, so that's number one, which will most likely also line up with the 50 EMA, right? Then we've got second points of interest number two, which lines up with yesterday's high. Then we got point of interest number three, which is this 4-hour zone here, which is just going to also line up with this level, which was broken, and this order block here, which is within an order block. So those are the three main points of interest where I can comfortably sell from. What do I want to see from the TDI as a confirmation? I would love to see something like maybe a 50 static bounce or a shark fin. Something like that would actually give me more confidence to actually take the trade, or maybe like an AM type pattern on the TDI there, then I can also use it as a confirmation to the sell. So those are my three main points of interest. I'm just going to leave this one on M15 so that we can keep actively stalking it. Going to C1. I remember I'm so grateful we didn't take sales on C1. Those buys we were seeing yesterday, you can see price actually wanted to trick us. If you notice, remember price was rejecting this 4-hour zone, this shaded order block here. Price was bouncing off, failing to break above. So when we had our zoom, I think price was here. So they extended the high, they hit equal highs. They actually gave a pattern here because this is a break of an order block. They come below. If we're selling, we're going to be waiting for a retest here for a continuation down. But the fact that I had like a bullish bias on this asset, we had a bullish bias. You see how the daily candles were. We had a bullish bias, right? So selling this would have been a high risk. Price was most likely going to go up instead of coming down, which is exactly what ended up happening. So price continued to push up. They eventually actually broke the level, then came back to retest it. Then they started pushing up. This pattern here, if you're using moving averages, this is for you. For those who use moving averages, I want you to notice this pattern. So we've got a bullish bias or price pushing up. If price hits a major moving average, depending on what you use, for on mine I've got the 200 and the 50. Those are my main moving averages, and the 800. But these are the main ones which price interacts with almost on a daily, right? So if you've got a bullish bias and price hits a moving average, remember, if it hits like this, that's a dynamic resistance. So price will most likely start to push down, which is what happened. So if your bias are bullish, just know that at the top of those two candles or at the top of the moving average, you can actually take a breakout trade. This will be the only time you hear me mention breakout trades. I'm sure from all the sessions I've done on my live sessions, you never heard me talk of breakouts, but this is the only scenario where you see me take a trade and say I'm taking a breakout trade. All right. So I want to show an example on was it B1000 on what time frame was it? What time frame was it? Let me quickly check. Because I think I saw a similar petty exactly right here. So this was B1000 yesterday, right? Price it moved considerably lower during the whole day. So we're anticipating a retracement or an intraday reversal, which means we're looking forward for buys. Those buys, I was looking forward for price to at least get to this level here, or maybe somewhere above this these two order blocks, right? So I was bullish. So price came up and they hit the 50. In this example, this first candle didn't hit the 50, but they hit the 50 right here. Then they gave this a reversal candle. Now it means at the top of these two candles, if I'm bullish, I execute a breakout trade there, take a buy, and I hold either to this level or to this level. So especially this level, this would have been my TP right here on that particular setup. So just know that if you've got a direction, so the first thing you need to have like a direction. If you've got a direction or a bias which is pretty much strong and price hits a moving average, just know at the top if it's going up and at the bottom if it's coming down, you can take a breakout trade. All right, so B1000, what are we looking at today? Let's see. So let me just remove those indicators there. All right, so I notice prices slowed down, right? Let's agree on one thing. We're pushing up, we slowed down here, but we continue that momentum. We slowed down here, pushed up. This now looks like a reversal candle. Once we get this reversal candle, what's most likely to happen? Price will most likely retrace back into the 13 EMA, which means if we're looking for buys here, buys will be very low probabilities for now, as we do not have a buying bias. To confirm that price is pushing 1H1 should be below the 13 EMA. So as you can see, we are below the 13 EMA, and there is no trade or setup which I could say we can buy from at the moment. Let's see where price could get to though. So if price is coming down, and if this was the impulsive move, that means we can potentially look for scalp buys here, scalp buys here, scalp buys here. This is where price will be retracing. They come down, they retrace, they come down, they retrace. That's the only places where we can buy from. But at the same time, I would advise not to trade against the trend. What we want to look for is to take trades or take buys each time when price is trading above the 13 EMA. So when they come towards, we're looking for an entry, come towards, we're looking for an entry. So if we are trading below and this is the 13 EMA like this means we'll be trying to catch pullbacks, and they can easily be high risk trades or low probability trades because price might not give a deeper pullback than you want. It might just go a little bit up, then actually drop, which means if you're in a buy, you can easily hit a stop loss, easily hit a stop loss, easily stop loss, easily hit a stop loss. So it's best we wait for a better setup to actually form before we even consider buying B1000. So I'll say that's my view. Also notice there was a good example on step index. Okay, let me quickly check it out. Step index M15. All right, so on this one, price is pushing up, price is pushing up. Or so this one is a bit like of a variation. Because as we come, remember when you're waiting for a breakout, okay, let me try to give a visual example. So let's say that's the moving average. We are coming up. When we get here, we are going to throw a bearish candle, right? After throwing that bearish candle, the next candle is going to be bullish. So that bullish candle which breaks here, that's the setup I was trying to explain. So this is a bit of a variation of that setup. because we are pushing up. We've got a bullish bias. Price hits this level, they retrace. This is a bit of another example of a flip zone trade. So this is yesterday's high. Price bounces off that. Then they give, this is the particular pattern. You see this one, which I was explaining. If you're mentioning or referring to this one, then yeah, that's it. But on this particular one, what you notice is this might have most likely or almost taken you out, because your stop loss, remember, it just has to be below that level as well. Then your TP can be 1:2, 1:3, or the next zone which you see on your left hand side. So for example, here, if you're targeting the 800 EMA at the top here, that buy would have been a good trade if this spike didn't take you out. You get it? So yeah, I hope that's also a clear explanation there. So yeah, we will see 1,000, right? Yeah, we'll see 1,000. Okay. So what are we looking forward to today? On the daily, we're still bullish. The daily has got no bottom wick. So these are some of the subtle things or the tiny things you have to notice as your candle is expanding. You will notice that the daily has got no wick at the bottom. Most likely, or most of the times, the daily has got a wick. It might be tiny, but it's got a wick. So that will give room for price to actually do this now. Since these synthetics are very volatile, this price can even start coming down for no reason. And then they just come and tap the bottom or today's lows. They will just spike slightly below, then come back. On the daily now, it will start to form a wick. It will actually form a wick, then start to expand to the top side as the price continues on its bullish trend. So these are some of the things you just need to keep at the back of your mind in case you are in a buy and you see price starts to come deep, start to come deep. Just know they will be coming to fulfill that mission, taking liquidity before below these lows, creating a wick on the daily chart, and then continuing with the expansion upwards. So I hope those points also help. Okay, so like I said, on the daily, price still looks like it's bullish here. On the left hand side, though, you see I've got, I want to see where this red line is coming from. Okay, it's coming from this order block right here. So for me, that's a point of interest. We can get short-term sales right from this order block here. So let me remove the line and replace it. Okay, so if price gets into this order block, there are now chances that we can get a retracement. So we are saying we are in an uptrend. Potentially price wants to get here to this 200 EMA here. So if we get a higher high, we'll most likely get a higher low, a higher high, higher low, higher high. So if we can bounce off here, I think we can potentially get our intraday reversal, which is going to be a short-term sell. That's the only reason I would actually participate in a sell for now, based on the current market price. So if price decides to also come, you see we've got an order block here. If price decides to come, break this order block, I can also anticipate or take a short-term sell. But at the same time, I need to pay attention to this 50 EMA, because price might actually come and just bounce off here, then push up, which will make this a failed setup since it's an uptrend. So that's also something which you just need to keep in mind as your price is moving. So for now, I'd say I'll wait for that order block, and I'll wait for this order block on M15 to be broken, and I'll wait for price to reach this 4-hour order block or supply zone as well before I consider a sell. Those are my only 2 points of interest for now. So I'm just going to leave it on M15 so that I can keep check of this tiny order block there. So those who buy, I don't really like explaining buy setups like I always say on Crash. I only look for sells. But if you are looking for buys, then you potentially looking for something like this. Price is to actually respect this order block or this following one here, which is on this level. So if price bounces here, then it can potentially push up. So don't really execute a sell here, because if we do, the sell will potentially be a low probability trade. So yeah, I think C1000, I'll just wait for it slightly above the for a possible intraday sell. Otherwise, the trend is bullish. So if the trend is bullish, protect your capital until we get a bearish trend. All right, so just checking C5, that pullback. So for now, C5 is our main asset which we are actually stalking today. All right, C5, B5. B5 yesterday, I wanted to buy it, right? But we had set a few rules for us to buy it. We were only going to buy if price came back above here. You remember? Price did not do that, and we did not buy. I was trying to pay attention to see if they will still come back above this level. They didn't. Looked at the previous day levels as well. Maybe a short-term trade was possible here, but this was around swap time, so I did not execute anything on that particular trade. So what are we looking for today? If you check on the daily, price looks like it's bearish. Zoom in on the candles. We have to agree that this price is a bearish order flow. As much as we are sideways, this price action here looks bearish, especially after this candle. And again, we are still trading within this range. So until we get out of this range of was this Sunday? I think it's Sunday's candle. You see, we're still trading within that range. Until we get out of that range, we won't have any high probability trade on B5. Anything which might form might just be short term or otherwise high risk setup. So nothing for now on B5. I might as well leave it on the daily so that we can just pay attention to how price will be playing out. If we take out this liquidity, you should anticipate a short-term buy, right? If we come and hit this zone and we reject, then we can potentially continue with buys, with this buy motion which has been going on here. So these are just the two main points of interest which we'll be looking at for now. So I will leave this one on the daily. Then going to be 1000. Like I said, I think I explained it a little bit. Price will most likely push down as we are in a bearish order flow. So price might continue just pushing down. So we might get spikes here, like I said. Around yesterday's low, we might get short-term spikes. Then around this level here, we might also get short-term spikes. This is actually a sell trade which will be in motion if you actually flip it. But the thing is, I do not sell the booms, so I won't really talk about the sell setups. All right, so I think that's it for B1000. Nothing high probability today. Then step index, we spoke about this one. It's acting exactly as we have been speaking about since price was here, I think. So this price failed to tap into this zone, right? We came up, early buyers were activated here. I even remember myself, I was looking for buys, even from here, I was looking for buys into this area. But price actually came all the way back down, which means any swing trader who was in a buy with a stop loss below this zone, or this zone has already been taken out just by this move. You get it? So that's usually how price moves. Early entries will usually be taken out before price actually moves. So if you see a stop hunt, after you see a stop hunt, that's when you can actually be confident in executing buys. So like I said, after this rejection, we were looking for buys. So anyone who was on step index after yesterday's daily close should be in profits now. You can see a nice price action there. safe buys above that order block, which is an H1 OB. Excuse me. Price is trading above the 13 EMA, which confirms your bullish bias. So as long as your bullish bias lines up with H1, just know the probability of your trade playing out will be higher compared to losing. All right, so it will only be a matter of your entry point and your stop loss and your target. So again, we had marked these gray zones as points of interest. So what I want you to notice is this first gray zone has been broken and it has been retested. If I zoom in, you see here's the break, price comes, retests and pushes up. So again, we might also get another retracement, but if this price decides to just accelerate like what these synthetic indices usually do, you see they usually like accelerate with no major retracement. This was a 2-day drop or 1.5-day drop. They could simply do the same thing going up. So the best place to buy this would be on this order block, which they left near this support zone. For me, I'll say for now, that's a high probability order block to buy from right there. So I'm just going to unshade it. And we are going to go to M15. Okay, so you can see we had a higher low. We had an order block. If we can retest, then we can potentially get our nice buy, which we actually want. So that right there is my view for step. I'll be looking forward for buys on this one. And again, pay attention to this order block as well, as I anticipate price to also break it and retest all the way up to this level here. So these buys will most likely go into tomorrow as well. So we'll just have to monitor how the daily candle closes. And if we can come back above the 13 EMA, just know that the swing buyers can now buy and hold, as this price will most likely continue pushing up to get to this area, take out these highs, and most likely get to these ultimate highs as well, around 83.45. So that's one thing to note, especially for step index traders. But if price also bounces off here, they might still want to come back again before they push up. They'll most likely come back into this level here before pushing up. So again, that's also something you need to keep in mind in case you see price doing that. But otherwise, I feel like we will be getting those buys very soon. Then last but not least, jump 10 is looking for buys on this one. I had this order block here. Remember what I mentioned by the daily candle not having a week. This is yesterday. I want you to look at yesterday's daily candle, right? It's this one. So when the day started, let me go back to M15 to explain that point. When the day started yesterday, of course, price had a small wick below the open price, right? But I want you to notice that the day we were bullish and we were looking for buys on this red line and on this order block. Both those areas were respected, and there was actually a stop hunt, a break-in of an order block and a close above, meaning even if we're not in the trade, we were going to buy here. I'm not sure if one of you guys actually bought and your stop loss would have been here. But guess what happened? The dealer decides to come down, take out stop losses. Anyone who's long has been taken out from here. This price extends the low of the day, creating the wick on the daily chart. Then from here, price just accelerated. Although they didn't come back above here on the current day, it was actually a bullish day. Then that bullish bias continued into today. So today also looks like we do not have a week on the current day's candle. So let's just go back to the daily and see. Okay, there's a tiny week there. If you can zoom in, very tiny week. But again, the bias is bullish. I feel like it's just this up move continuing to push up. So do we have any demand zones or any order blocks? So from the 4 hour, I've got this big order block here, but the thing is I don't want to draw such big order block. I'm just going to continue with this zone here, which is coming from this candle. It's lining up with the same order block. So that's a point of interest for buys. And I'm going to mark this level as well. Then on the M15 or H1, we need to run a fib. So we have to agree that we are in a bullish motion first. Once we agree on the bullish motion, then we can run a fib on the impulsive move. So from this low to this high, right? On the H1, you can now see that on that same level where we had that order block on H4, we also have an order block on H1 right here. That order block is lining up with the 50 and the 61.8 level. It's also lining up with the 50 EMA. So for me, that's a high probability area where we can potentially buy from. So those trading jump 10, I'll say let's possibly or try to wait for price rights on this order block here, because that for me looks like a high probability area to actually buy from. Worst case scenario will be price breaking this and coming maybe to the 70.5% retracement points, which will be close to the 200 EMA. But as soon as we come above the order block as well, we can still consider taking buys. So that's my view on J10. So in terms of trades with high probability or trades on the watch list, for me today, I would stick with C5. I would stick with I rarely trade these two, Step and J10. I rarely trade them, but for today they look like they're the ones which will actually give some nice setups. All right, let me just put them for reference sake, and I'll try to execute trades on them, and I'll share as well. So on my watch list today, it's only C5, J10, and Step Index. Those are the three items which for now look like they've setups which can potentially pay us. So I'll leave these three. Then during the course of the day, I'll just check on the other ones. Maybe in the evening, maybe if price action has changed a bit to give us something we can work with. So if I happen to spot something, or if you guys spot something on the other assets, you can also just highlight. But just remember, price is to be in the right direction on H1 in relation with the 13 EMA. Do not bring us something which is not confirmed. Okay, so we don't want to confuse people by taking trades which are against the trend. Let's try to go with the trend so that we can minimize our risk and increase on the reward. So I don't know if there's any questions based on what I just spoke about. Any questions? If there's no questions, thank you so much, guys, for joining. We'll still be chatting throughout the day. I believe we've got what's this? We've got a news event when currencies. So we might have a live trading session at New York Open, maybe 15 minutes after New York opens. I might stream it live and we can analyze. I believe it's we've got CPI called, oh, it's core CPI. Oh shit, it's actually a heavy event. Yeah, we got core CPI today. So if you want to trade fundamentals with us, I rarely trade fundamentals though. If you want to trade fundamentals with us, then plug in. Okay, so before I go, C5 looks like it's promising, so I'm just going to maximize the screen, go to H1. Most likely this is a continuation down. H4. If you can open just one position on C3, on C5, sorry. If you've got a small account, just open one position on C5. Then we're going to see if they will drop to take out liquidity right now to this level before we get that retracement. But if they don't play out, just know that they can simply retrace a bit. Then they'll drop after coming to our point of interest. All right, so just one position for now, then we'll see how the day goes. So thank you so much, guys, for making time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.